I'm very pleased to be here. What a gorgeous day to watch birds and squirrels and children and to be here together with a longing that is felt, no doubt, in parts all over the world, a longing for Bradley Manning. Don't hurt him. Don't hurt him any more than he's already been hurt. A longing that somehow he could be recognized for what he did do, which I think has a heroic nature to it, a longing to better know him. It's so hard to know much about him because he's been so isolated. A longing that somehow we could change, we could be people who would be willing to look at the truths that Bradley Manning has exposed. I know a little bit about prison. I sometimes joke and say that I was a bit prepared, extra prepared to go to maximum security prison. I did 1 year in a maximum security prison, and I taught in Catholic girls' high schools in the 70s, so in a way I was a little bit ready for that. She had it coming. I don't at all want to say that I approve of prisons, but I did find that it was a world of locked up beauty. I don't know where they keep the bad sisters. I've been in minimum security prison for 3 months, maximum for a year, and I've never yet met the ones that are supposed to be frightening and terrifying. But I do know that there is a lot of criminal behavior that goes around in our world because of wars and planning for wars and using weapons and ripping apart children's bodies and people who've never meant us any harm, being bereaved and full of grief that will never go away, their arms longing for loved ones that will never return. So I want to talk with you about something that I learned that has everything to do with longing inside of a women's prison. And I tell this story thinking about the longing that so many people feel today, thinking about Bradley Manning. I was in prison in 2004 on May 1st, and that was the day that was the anniversary of the day when President Bush had stood on an aircraft carrier and declared mission accomplished in regard to Iraq and the shock and awe bombing. And I'd been in Iraq during the shock and awe bombing, and it was shocking and it was awful, but I don't believe anything good was accomplished. So it was appropriate for me to be inside of a prison. When I came back, I was very ready to cross the line in a sense and express that I couldn't myself be in cooperation with what the United States had done in Iraq. So I was in the prison library trying to write an article actually about that 1 year, I suppose, anniversary of the mission accomplished statement. And when all of a sudden some women came rushing into the library, other prisoners, and they said, "Oh, girl, you got to come with us. You got to see what's on CNN right now." And I went with them. We kind of raced across the compound. I thought, well, was there a tsunami or a typhoon or some natural disaster? But in fact, CNN was just releasing the photographs that I think have now become almost iconic. Those of you who are closer to me in age, I know you will remember them. The man and the dog, the man on a leash, the man standing on top of the milk crate, the pyramid of naked men. And these were the pictures that had emerged from Abu Ghraib. And the women that had come to get me to see what CNN was showing were deeply upset. And at first I thought, well, they're upset because they're prisoners and they can identify with the loss of control and the inability to affect your circumstances. But then as I listened more and I saw tears going down the face of one of the women, I realized, no. What they're expressing is patriotism. They were asking me, what's going on over there? And asking each other, what's happening to our country? And then the question came, what can we do about this? And this was being directed toward me, and I said, well, not too much, we're in prison. And this is what they did. They went to the assistant warden who was in charge of the women's prison that same day, and they asked for permission. Could they gather outside on the oval track in the morning when the sun came up and in the evening when the sun went down to pray for their country during a time of war? And much to my amazement, the assistant warden said yes. And so at first 12 women, and then 30, And by the time I left the prison, 80 women were gathered out on the oval track when the sun went down, holding hands and saying prayers, which are marked in my memory, I hope, forever. I want to share some of them with you. The shyest of women would raise her voice so she could be heard and say, I just want to pray for all of our kids. Lord, you know we love our kids so much. And I also pray for the kids of those soldiers who are over there in Iraq, because it's so hard to be separated from our kids. And another, I just like to pray for all the guards in this here prison, because I know this is a real hard job, and they got families to go home to also. So I just pray for them and for their children, and also for our kids. Amen. And another, I like to pray for all the parents over there in Iraq, because it must be so hard when there are bombs and explosions and they want to take care of their children just like we want to take care of ours. And we're so separated from them, but we hope that someday these separations will end. Amen. Prayers for forgiveness, prayers for the children, prayers for peace. I heard the women articulate those every day with an incredible longing. And there was one woman who didn't join the prayer circle. Her name was Sherry, and she had a very long sentence, but she was so well trusted at the prison that when it was your day to leave, they gave Sherry the car keys, and she'd drive you to the Peoria bus station or train station and then turn around and drive back into the prison. And I wondered, why didn't Sherry come to that prayer circle? Because she was someone who had very deep faith and was recognized for that by everyone there. When she was driving me away to the Peoria train station, she put her hand on mine as we drove past a very huge section of what that was the Pekin medium to high security prison for men. And in that prison, the median sentence length was 27 years. Sometimes from the library I could look out the window and I could see a bus pull up, and manacled and shackled young men would be shuffling off the bus, and those young men would be grandfathers before they would leave. And so Sherry, who was an African American woman, as we drove past that medium to high security prison full of men, put her hand on mine, and she said, I know you care a lot about what's going on over there in Iraq, Kathy. At least our boys aren't over there in Iraq. Our boys are all in there. I don't know exactly what she meant, but I've thought about it a lot. And I wonder if she wasn't trying to say that even if you're locked up in the dismal, dour reality of a prison that goes on for decades and decades, that could be better than being in another land and possibly being caught up in killing or destroying the children and the dreams of other people far away. I think the most dangerous leak that was made at about the time when Bradley Manning is accused of having leaked confidential government information, the most dangerous leak was made by General McChrystal. Because General McChrystal, before President Obama declared the surge, made a leak, a very deliberate leak, in which he said the number of soldiers that would be needed in Afghanistan would be about 40,000. And that pretty well tied the hands of the Obama administration into declaring a number for the surge that would be somewhere in the vicinity of that 40,000. Every single soldier in Afghanistan cost the United States public $1 million per year. Think about Eisenhower's quote, every gun made, every warship launched, every rocket fired is a theft against those who are poor and those who are hungry. Do you know we are spending $2 billion a week to service the United States military presence in Afghanistan? There's a wonderful Italian hospital not so far from a major sprawling United States military base, and the chief logistician of that hospital, a man named Emanuele Nannini, said to me, knowing that it costs $1 million to keep one U.S. soldier there for 1 year, Kathy, just so you let 6 of them go. and give me this money. What I do with $6 million? He could build 3 new hospitals. And then he smiled and he said, oh, you let 60 of them go. I make clinic 330 all across Afghanistan. These are, of course, ways to think that open up the possibilities that we could all long for healing. We could all long for human rights. We could all long for those basic rights of health care, of food, of water, of a roof over people's heads. In Afghanistan, where 100 children froze to death, 100 children froze to death during the harsh winter last year. So as we long for Bradley Manning's liberation, as we long for our own liberation so that we won't be addicted to the hideous ways of war, as we long for a better world for the children among us, let us be informed by Bradley Manning's quiet courage. Let us be formed by the very different route that he has chosen, so that we might know that there is a possibility to build a better world, and that we ourselves can be part of that process in making a world wherein it's easier to be good. But I think we need that longing that the women in prison showed me. And so I hope somehow Bradley Manning can know that people are longing for an easier, a better life for him. But in the very longing, we can help create who we want to be. I'm so lucky to be part of traveling back and forth to Afghanistan as often as I have. The women I just spent time with and the teenagers in the Afghan Peace Volunteers group have determined that they're going to create coverlets, heavy, warm duvets, and create those as a way to help families that are vulnerable to the cold survive this coming harsh winter. And there's a saying that some of you may have heard if you ever read the book, The Kite Runner, or saw that film. It ends on a wonderful note, and I'll just offer this to you now as something that Afghans often say to us, that we can long to say to Bradley Manning, for you 1,000 times over. 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 For Bradley Manning. For you 1,000 times over. Thank you.
Building models of a world that we might want to live in. We're sorting feelings in our stomachs. Is this liberation or starvation? But have we made it anywhere at all? The dishes are never done. We can't live without dishwashers. How would we live without cops? You're asking me, who does the dishes after the revolution? Well, I do my own dishes now. I'll do my own dishes then. It's always the ones that don't that ask asking questions. So I don't believe in God, but I'm also not an atheist. You know the universe, it's chaos. Chaos plays favorites. You know, lately I've been thinking about how I love Jesus, yeah. 'Cause Jesus, he was a dirty homeless hippie peace activist. He said, drop out and find God to anybody who would listen. Turn the water into hooch bags with. Turn the water into hooch bags with. Turn the water into hooch bags with low lives and anarchists.
All right. My name's Josie Louder. I'm so honored to be. Pause. Hello. Are you on? Okay. Thank you for that speech. That was beautiful. I'm very lucky to be able to share my art with people freely. Not everybody is as lucky as me, so a lot of my songs are about the not so lucky. This first one I wrote, this is called Till the Whole World Sings, and it's kind of my life's mission is just to spread joy through music and inspire people, so. Do you hear them crying? They ain't got no food for today. They ain't got no water. And they ain't on your news today. Whoa, but they be on your borders. Be on your seas. Are we not brothers and sisters, baby? Are we not family? Fight the darkness, fight the rain, step in the sunlight. Let it erase your pain. We all get one life, and I ain't gonna stop till I get the whole world to sing. Hear them crying, they ain't got no food today, They ain't got no water, baby, and they getting on your news today, Be on your butters. Are we not brothers now? Are we not family? Fight the darkness, fight the rain, step in the sunlight, let it erase your pain. We get one life, and I ain't gonna stop till I get the whole world to sing, yeah. Thank you.
Hopefully I got a remedy for you. Six-minute solution, yeah. Begins with a confession. My goal is your disruption, yeah. Is the remedy for you and me. Too much to see, too much for you and me. Self-serve religion, temperance is the remedy for you and me. Too much to see, too much for you and me. It would be prudent for us to be more moderate and temperate while there's still time. Six-minute solution. Who's falling first, and there are some chance when everything is self-serve religion, moderation is the remedy for you and me. Too much to see, too much for you and me.
All right, everybody, up next, we've got a local activist that's going to speak with us. He's the co-founder of the Radical Student Union at UIS. He's a good friend of mine, and he used to have the most beautiful afro I've ever seen on a man. Everybody, put it together for Mr. Chris Blankenhorn.
Thank you, everybody, for coming out here. It's an honor to share the stage with the likes of Kathy Kelly, Josie, who I've known since I was in high school. But it's very important that we're all here today. It's an important cause. It's an important conversation. And that's mostly what I'm going to talk about today, is that this is a conversation that needs to be had. It's one that's not being had. We're in a presidential election year right now. I don't think you've heard Bradley Manning's name mentioned once. I don't know if you've heard transparency mentioned once. In 2008, it was every other word out of Obama's mouth was transparency this, transparency that, protect whistleblowers, they're heroes. He actually called them heroes. And then as soon as Bradley Manning's WikiLeaks drop happened, you've got quotes from the same man who called whistleblowers heroes, writing Bradley Manning off as guilty. He said he's guilty. He's never been put to trial. The only person who's facing any charges whatsoever as a result to the WikiLeaks drop by Manning is Bradley Manning. No one's being punished for the collateral war damage. No one's being punished for the support of dictators around the world. There's no repercussions whatsoever for the actions of our government. The only person is Bradley Manning. He spent more than 6 months in solitary confinement, 23 hours a day. That apparently is the payment you get for being a hero in this country today. Kathy Kelly mentioned General McChrystal's leak is actually the most dangerous leak that we've had, the one that's endangered the most lives. And I think it's important to note, who did Bradley Manning's leak, who endangered people due to Bradley Manning's leak? It wasn't Bradley Manning. Bradley Manning didn't kill anyone. Bradley Manning didn't give weapons to people to put down democratic revolutions. It was the U.S. government that endangered people. It was the actions of the U.S. government and people under its flag that brought us to where we are today, that caused the danger that is now blamed on Bradley Manning. So for me, the question is always, how do we change it? And I came back to the same answer I almost always come to when I run into a problem and want to know how we solve it, and that's, we have to come together. I think that governments are reflections of their people. They're reflections of a society that they represent. We have a government that's bought and paid for by corporate interests. We have a government that cares more about the military-industrial complex than the people. And if we want to change that, if we want a different path, we have to come together. We have to fight what we believe in. We can't sit silently complicit. If you don't say anything about Bradley Manning, that's the same thing as saying you're okay with him being locked up. We have to be vocal. And one person can't be vocal. We've got to be vocal as communities. It's the only way that anything can happen. We have to take our future in our hands. We have to make demands of those who represent us. And if they're not representing us, we have to hold them accountable. If we want transparency, we have to do more. We're all out here today, and this is great. We need to do another one and another one and another one. Not just on Bradley Manning, but about every single thing that we're fed up about. We can't sit here and wait for benevolence from those in power. They got us where we are today. They're only going to dig a hole deeper. There's going to be no benevolence from the military-industrial complex. There's going to be no benevolence towards Bradley Manning from the government, from the military, from the intelligence agencies. If we want it, we have to get it. And the only way we can do that is together. We're running a little behind, so I'm going to help make up some time and cut it short. But I think that no matter what it is, whether it's Bradley Manning, whether it's drones, whether it's healthcare, no matter what your issue is, if you want to see change, you've got to get together. You've got to talk to your community, your friends, the people you don't even know. If we're not educated, we can't hope for any change. We can't hope for anything in the future. So, everybody go out, talk to your friends about what happened here today. Make sure they know about Bradley Manning, because right now no one knows. You don't hear it in the media. You don't hear it talked about. I think Bishop's probably the only person in Springfield mainstream media that actually spoke about it this week. And I can say that pretty much every single news media outlet in town got a press release every day this week. I mean, there was one from the Radical Student Union, one from the Foundation for United Front, one for the Veterans from Peace, one from the Voices for Creative Nonviolence. They know about it. They're not here, so it's our responsibility to make sure that the word gets out. Thank you very much, and like I said, it's an honor to be here to speak.
Thank you, thank you. This is some stuff off our CD that we still have one song yet to complete on. You check it out on Reverb Nation, man. Restless Soul, the band. This one's called Matter. Did you ever think that you were the only one who ever felt the pain? Let me tell you that ain't nothing to believe, no, don't. Sometimes every fool gets a call out in the rain. That ain't the way it should be. Stare down at the ground. No, you ain't gonna change a damn thing. You can cry away your sorry life. No, it won't matter in the end. It won't matter. So why bother? Goes like this. Never gonna matter long. Why do we bother? Sometimes it makes you wonder why you even try, though. But you know it's always gonna come around. It's gonna turn around in the end. Ain't no reason to ever ask nobody why, when the answers just can't be found. No, no. You can stand around and stare down at the ground. No, you're never gonna change a damn thing. Cry away your sorry, sorry, sorry life. No, it won't matter in the end. It won't matter. So why bother? Thank you.
I just wanted to come and support what you're doing. I don't have a lot to say about Manning. I don't know that much about his case or him as an individual, but what I do know is that it matters the perception of a flawed criminal justice system, right? When our system, the safeguards that we put into place aren't observed, it undermines the legitimacy of the system itself. And it affects not only this one particular case, but it affects our entire criminal justice system. So a lot of the work that I've been doing with the Innocence Project, the Illinois Innocence Project, which is housed at University of Illinois, Springfield. I'm new to the project. I've only been there since the start of the year. They've been working for, I think, about 15 years on this project, and there are projects, as you know, all around the country. But there's a lot of similarities. So I wanted to come and encourage you not only to work on behalf of Manning, but also to think about working on behalf of the entire system. And you can do that through the Innocence Project or in other ways. But some of the similarities that are going on is that through the Innocence Projects, we found that there are all kinds of causes for wrongful conviction, but they've identified a few main causes. And some of these seem really applicable to Manning's case. So they include eyewitness misidentification, unvalidated or improper forensic science, bad lawyering, but then also false confessions and admissions, government misconduct, and informants and snitches. And these seem to have some resonance. So I'm going to talk to you just a little bit about these causes, and then what some of the things that we're trying to do or encourage people to do in order to try to rectify this. The first one that seems most applicable, right, is government misconduct. And of course we know that this isn't universal, it's not widespread. We have a lot of law enforcement officers and prosecutors that are honest and trustworthy. But criminal justice is a human endeavor. And the possibility for negligence, misconduct, and corruption exists. Even if only one officer of every 1,000 is dishonest, then wrongful convictions are going to continue to occur. And what we know through the Innocence Project is that we've had people exonerated based on DNA evidence. They've been proven to be innocent, and yet they had been convicted by the system. So it means that there are problems within the system that we can hopefully try to fix. Some of the common forms of misconduct by law enforcement officers include employing suggestions while conducting identification procedures, coercing false confessions, lying or intentionally misleading jurors about their observations, failing to turn over exculpatory evidence to prosecutors, providing incentives to secure unreliable evidence from informants. Common forms of misconduct by prosecutors include withholding exculpatory evidence from the defense, deliberately mishandling, mistreating, or destroying evidence, allowing witnesses they know or should know that are not truthful to testify, and pressuring defense witnesses to testify. Even relying on fraudulent forensic evidence they know isn't trustworthy, and making misleading arguments that overstate the value of certain testimony. So all of these factors are going on within the system. We need to have some way to address them. But before I get to that, I'll talk to you a little bit about false confessions. And even though Manning hasn't made a confession, or at least we don't know that, the danger is out there because of the way that he's being treated. A lot of factors that they've identified that can contribute to false confessions usually happen during police interrogations. And they include things like duress, coercion, diminished capacity, mental impairment, ignorance of the law, fear of violence, the actual infliction of harm, the threat of a harsh sentence, misunderstanding of the situation, and interminable periods of interrogation, right? Confessions obtained from juveniles are usually less reliable. Children are so easy to manipulate. They're not always fully aware of their situation. Children and adults both are often convinced that they can go home as soon as they admit guilt. So they aren't guilty. They didn't do it. They don't believe that they did it, but they're told, if you just admit it, you can leave. People with mental disabilities have often falsely confessed because they are tempted to accommodate and agree with authority figures. Many law enforcement interrogators are not given any sort of special training on how to question suspects with mental disabilities. An impaired mental state due to mental illness, drugs, or alcohol may also elicit all kinds of admissions of guilt. Mentally capable adults also give false confessions due to a variety of factors, like the length of interrogation, exhaustion, or a belief that they can be released after confessing and proving their innocence later. So regardless of age, regardless of capacity or the state of the confessor, what they often have in common is a decision at some point during the interrogation process that confessing will be more beneficial to them than continuing to maintain their innocence. Sometimes law enforcement officers use harsh interrogation tactics with uncooperative suspects, and some police officers are convinced of a suspect's guilt. If they are convinced of a suspect's guilt, they'll use tactics so persuasive that an innocent person feels compelled to confess. Some suspects, of course, have confessed to avoid physical harm or discomfort. Others are told they'll be convicted with or without a confession, but their sentence will be more lenient if they confess. And some are told a confession is the only way to avoid a death penalty. So there's all kinds of ways that policies that the Innocence Projects are advocating to change some of these really terrible systematic problems within the criminal justice system that cause people who are innocent to confess, cause people who are innocent to be wrongfully convicted. Not the least of which is to have all interrogations recorded. Right? If you require every time a police officer talks to a suspect to have that recorded, some of these problems can be avoided. Some states have those provisions, but there's all kinds of loopholes. The loopholes include if they have the equipment available. So how easy is that not to have the equipment available? Or if you have it, to not have it be working, right? So we need to have people go out and advocate for reforms that are going to be meaningful, have provisions that require police departments to have recording equipment that's operating, and that they have to use that every time that they do an interrogation. And if they don't have the recording equipment available, then they don't get to interrogate the subject, right? They don't get to go ahead without it. We've tried to, around the country, bring people together, form commissions to start to work at making some of these policy changes. North Carolina has an actual innocence commission created by the Chief Justice in North Carolina in 2002. That commission has focused on causes of wrongful conviction, and it's considered really a national model for effectiveness and reform. Pennsylvania is another state where 9 men have been proven innocent by DNA testing in recent years, and so the state Senate created an innocence commission in 2006. California, Connecticut, Wisconsin have also created commissions to study the causes of wrongful conviction. In Illinois, the legislature passed into law 85 recommendations made by a special commission created here to study capital punishment and create safeguards against wrongful convictions. We know what happened with the capital punishment, but the problem is that the wrongful conviction findings that they've had, the different systems that they can put into place, haven't been put into law. There are some preliminary provisions, but we need people to advocate to make these a reality. We have the commission, we have the information, we know what we need to do. We need to get support to get people to get the legislature to put those into place. So I would encourage you to take your energy for Manning and the problems that are going on with the way that he's being treated, the way that the justice system at the federal level is operating, and say we also need to look at what's happening in our own state at the state level, try to prevent some of these innocent people from being convicted. I mean, you can only imagine, right? We can only imagine the horror. You didn't do it, you're convicted, and you go to prison. And we have had and continue to have exonerations in the state showing that our system is just as flawed as all the others. So thanks for listening. I'm at University of Illinois Springfield. The Innocence Project is always looking for volunteers, people to get involved at any level. So if you have interest, you can find me at the university, or the project itself is there. And good luck. Thanks.
Yeah, mic check, 1 2 1 2. Mic check, 1 2 1 2. How's everybody doing tonight?
Woo! Wait, that didn't sound right. Mic check. Mic check. That's a little better.
My name is Jim Smiley. This is the MC. We came to perform for you guys tonight, some Occupy hip hop, if that's okay. Is that okay?
How y'all feeling? Cold. Everything happened.
YourFutureProducers.com. Let me get just 1% of a little bit of everything. Can I have just 1% of a little bit of everything? Let me get just 1% of everything. Can I have just 1% of a little bit of everything? Give me the cars and the clothes and the gold and the hoes. Something to everything. More money, more problems, more woes. Oh, something to everything. Give me the cars and the clothes and the gold and the hoes. A little bit of everything. More money, more problems, more woes. Oh, hey yo, I woke up this morning. I wonder why I'm trying. Cell phone cut off and more bills piling. Insurance just shot up. I'm not driving. Fridge got nothing but 40s, so I'm not driving. No, I'm not lying. It's factual. If I take another, I heard it's taxable. Then where my taxes go? Tax money spent before I got it. Now the dollar in my wallet. Man, I'm going psychotic. Just made a hit record. I think that it's time I drop it, so I can up my value in the market. Give me fame in the dough, man. Low hands, am I a broke man? No, man. Can see the ceiling when you trap beneath the floor. Worry about food, that's cool when you growing up this pole. Yo, so I ain't gonna vote for a puppet, bitch. And I don't want the whole world, just the 1%. Yeah, give me the cars and the clothes and the gold and the hoes. Something to everything. More money, more problems, more woes. Oh, something to everything. Give me the cars and the clothes and the gold and the hoes. A little bit of everything. More money, more problems, more woes. Yeah, money is everything. I can't hide or deny my urge. Okay, I love to push a phone whip out in Germany. I love to have the means to spin so absurdly that if you watch the TV, I guarantee that you heard of me. But not if it comes at the expense of the people. And if you go too far, you catch the attention of a superhero whose superhuman ability is a silver tongue that's gonna keep twisting these tales till the revolution's won. And I'm gonna keep screaming, so I'll make sure that you hear me. If I stop, it's cause I'm down. I hope and pray they miss me dearly. The hope I benefited the movement with every breath and took the 1% stature a closer step to death. We don't need to kill the people, we need to kill the system. That's the only way we'll get the 99 to listen. Everyone's apathetic until they get pissed off. I'm here to show the people how the 1%'s ripping us off. Give me the cars and the clothes and the gold and the hoes. Something to everything. More money, more problems, more woes. Oh, something to everything. Give me the cars and the clothes and the gold and the hoes. Everything.
everything. Can I get just 1%? Of a little bit of everything. Let me have just 1% of a little bit of everything. Can I get just 1% of everything? Can I have just 1%? But money isn't everything. Yeah. That was a warm up. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Y'all still cold? I think we warming up a little bit. Down for too long. Down for too long. We've been down for too long. Been down for too long. We've been down for too long. Been down for too long. Yeah. Today I'm gonna fight. Me, I got a choice. Been down for too long. I'ma raise my voice. I'ma raise my voice. Voice, voice. I'ma raise my voice. Voice, voice. I'ma raise my voice. Yeah, and make noise. I'ma raise my voice. Yeah, and make noise. I'ma raise my voice. Yours we make noise. Can you hear my voice? Mic check, mic check, mic check. Yo, I never thought I'd live to see the day where I have to worry about where I'm gonna stay. Hey, I said I never thought I'd live to see the day where I have to worry about what I'm gonna say. While we've been addicted to the mainstream for too long, if that's the case, and you're the main aim of this song, it's an aim to use music to bring awareness to the masses. To put the old systems into a casket, to prison knowledge in a way that you can grasp it, and then inform that you can scream it with a passion, because the government is blacking out our access. You KSOP, try to censor me. Ay, maybe it's meant for me to be a part of history. Obama, are you listening? Yeah, today I'm gonna fight. Me, I got a choice. Been down for too long. I'ma raise my voice. I'ma raise my voice. Voice, voice. I'ma raise my voice. Voice, voice. I'ma raise my voice. Yeah, make noise. I'ma raise my voice. Yeah, make noise. I'ma raise my voice. These boys, we make noise. Can you hear my voice? Mic check, mic check, mic check. Putting profits over people. That ain't cool. No one should consider money a political tool. We putting profits over people. That ain't cool. If corporations are people, we can arrest them. They tell me I'm the nicest, but this is a crisis. What's the point of a license if I can't afford the gas prices? Gotta sell my soul to afford diesel. The government's not paying bills and I'm not either. It's time for the people to stand up united. Cause if we stand up united, then together we'll fight it. Another black man killed by cops, I don't like it. If it wasn't true, I wouldn't write it. They say I'm not as awesome as A.D. Carson. Why? Cause we rap, but he went to college. I seen it's a problem, not paying for knowledge. So I'm banking it up with my profit. Yeah. Me, I got a choice. Been down for too long. I'ma raise my voice. I'ma raise my voice. Voice, voice. I'ma raise my voice. Voice, voice. I'ma raise my voice. Yeah, and make noise. I'ma raise my voice. Yeah, and make noise. I'ma raise my voice. These boys, we make noise. Can you hear my voice? Mic check, mic check, mic check. Yeah, never thought I'd live to see the day where I have to worry about where I'm gonna stay. Hey, I said I never thought I'd live to see the day where I have to worry about what I'm gonna say. Man, watch what you say. Say to the masses, I had a dream that we could live without classes, not have to pay to be educated in classrooms, and sit here helpless while politicians make fast moves. So Aaron Shock know that Occupy's looking at you, cause chalk is talking, I promise we will be back soon. I'm not an activist, I'm not a capitalist, but I was told that I would never amount to and I'm not making excuses or crying about it. Instead I get my ass and did something about it. Wanna do something about it? Instead of a shout, the people's mic is the way that they'll hear you out. Mic check, mic check. Mic check, mic check. Mic check, mic check. Mic check, mic check. We are the 99%, 99%, 99%. You are the 99%, 99%. Tell me what democracy looks like. Tell me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like.
That's called Raise My Voice. Thank you guys for being such a great audience.
We all been down way too long.
Yeah.
We trying to get up though, ain't gonna be down no more. I think we need to touch the sky. I'ma reach so high, then I'ma touch the sky. Oh, I'ma reach so high, then I'ma touch the sky. Oh.
Only God can
judge me, you don't know what I've been through. They call me the bad guy, yeah, I think I'm him too. Tired of going through struggle, but I think I'm meant to. I'm just speaking from my soul, if I offend you. So I might step on some toes, end up in handcuffs and back on parole. But my goal is to ascend a step higher from the low that I came from. So up is the only place I can go. And your hero is Bieber, mine is Malcolm. I'ma occupy the sky with the owls and the falcons. Nothing is what it seems, I'm just a kid with a dream. But sometimes a dream's the only thing that you need to succeed. And I've seen power go straight to a person's head. It's like if you go against the grain, you end up dead. I'm thinking Kennedy, Martin, Shabazz, even Lincoln. Am I the last free-thinking living human being? So high, I'ma touch the sky. I'ma reach so high, I'ma touch the sky. So what you gonna occupy? What you gonna occupy? So what you gonna occupy? What you gonna occupy? So what you gonna occupy? What you gonna occupy? The sky, the sky, the sky. Occupy's a verb, you can occupy anything. Occupy your mind, wake up and live again. Look inside, we'll find knowledge unlimited. We screaming for change, they ain't giving us the minimum. We looking for ways to create a better day. Well, they looking for ways from their constituents to take. How can their lives be on our interest or the money that they're making? The rich keep getting richer and the poor still gets forsaken. And if you get the picture, then there's no way you can take it. Defeat is not an option, so the future's what we make it. And don't you be mistaken, we can't settle for a face. Cause the problem's not cosmetic, no, it lays within the base. So we'll occupy the basement of the White House if we have to diagnose the root of all the evil that has passed through. These walls doors are hollow, but I say here empty hollow are the voices of the people and the promise of tomorrow. So high that I'ma touch the sky. I'ma reach so high that I'ma touch the sky. So what you gonna occupy? What you gonna occupy? So what you gonna occupy? What you gonna occupy? So what you gonna occupy? I got a question, dog. So what you gonna occupy? 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 The sky. The sky, the sky. I got a question, but what you gonna occupy? 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 The sky, the sky, the sky. I'ma touch the sky. I'ma reach so high that I'ma touch the sky. So what you gonna occupy? So what you gonna occupy? What you gonna occupy? Sky, the sky. I'm Jim Smiley, this is the MC. Thank you for having us, you guys. Have a good night. I think we got, is Maxie coming up?